showing different exercises within the balance training program. And you need to remember that balance is a very complex concept and it's a multi-dimensional concept. So you need to take into consideration the different systems that are involved to maintain and execute balance exercises. As you can see, we have used different simple equipments and tools here. And it's very important before talking about the equipments and tools to consider the environment and the environmental factors and make sure that the surface is clean and free of dirt and of course not to cause slippery accidents. And also about the lighting, consider the lighting. It should be well lit room, the room that you are doing your balance exercises and also I need to mention here the contrast. Maybe here this room it's not really good contrast because as you can see the wall is white and the surface, the floor is grayish. Maybe it's better to have like clear contrast between the walls and the floor. This is something to be considered. And as usual, maintain the safety procedures, like if your patient needs, for example, to hold into something, you might use parallel bars, or you might use a gate or safety belt like this. So safety is key because you need to avoid any falling accident. And also, as you can see, the room is clear of any sharp objects to avoid any unnecessary and harmful accidents. To start with, we will start with standing. And during balance training, you might focus on certain postures, positions, or tasks. And you can progress or modify any task according to different things. For example, the complexity of the task depends on the base of support. So, narrower base of support will make the exercise harder. Wider base of support will make the exercise easier. And also the addition of any other tasks, what we call secondary tasks. These can be physical, like throwing a ball, catching a ball, kicking a ball, or they can be simply cognitive tasks. And we will show later examples for these. And also the placement of the arms, the tilting of heads, adding, for example, weights, elastic resistance, etc. These can make the exercise harder if you want. So to start with, we will start with the standing, as I said before. And as simple as normal standing. So usually you will stand with shoulder width apart. And as I said before, you can play with this position using different tasks. For example, I can ask him now, he's really steady in this position. So we might ask him to close his eyes, for example. And all the time during the balance training, you can always use the time, duration I mean, to assess and also to assess the progress of your client as well. So we might say, okay, you need to maintain this posture for 30 seconds, for 40 seconds, for more than that. This is one thing. The other thing, the base of support. So you can ask the client to make the base of support narrower, okay? So heels together. This is a harder form of the exercise. And then you can, for example, if you're steady in this position, you can ask him to do heel to toe, or what we call a tandem stance. If this is difficult, for example, we might start with semi-tandem. So you will not pass your to the other foot. If he's good at that, you will go for the tandem or heel to toe stance. All these variables just within the base of support. And of course, if your client uses assistive devices, that would be okay. A walker, a cane, etc. Then you will modify the base of support, or you might exclude the assistive device if they can, if their balance will improve later. Also, the placement of the arm. So usually, you might at the beginning allow the client to be free, for example, to put the arms forward, and then as he progresses, we might ask him to put them on the hips or across the chest to make the exercise harder. As I said before, you can also add a physical task. So I might throw a ball, catch a ball, ask him to pick something within the normal standing. Then you can change the surface. So this is a firm surface. We can move to different kinds of surfaces. We have the yoga pad. So we are increasing the difficulty of the exercise here. And as a physiotherapist, I need all the time to stand to the side and a bit to the back of the client, so I have access to the whole body in case there is, for example, exaggerated sway or loss of balance. And another thing, I can use the gauge belt if I need to. Okay, you can go down now. Here, as you can see, we have different types of wobble boards or balance boards, and actually sometimes they differ in the diameter, so how big or small they are, and the half of the sphere underneath the board. So the more spherical the board, the harder the exercise will be. Okay. And the selection of the appropriate type of the balance board depends on the abilities of your client, of course, and the type of the exercise you want. And we can ask him either to stand both feet on one wobble board, and it's very important when you use the wobble board or any kind of balance exercises. Now feel free to put your arms wherever you want, to give the client a reference. So don't ask him, for example, I will not ask him please be balanced. No, give him an external focus of attention. So in this case, I will ask him not to tip the balance board with the ground. So all the time, try to keep the balance board parallel to the ground. The external focus of attention is a very important key factor that will determine the success and the learning, the motor learning of the exercise itself. Now, if he's really good in that, we might add another progression. So we might ask him to perform squatting, for example. It could be a mini squat, okay? Not necessarily. Okay. So the exercise now is harder. Okay. Now we can ask him, can we go down? We can ask him now to put one foot on each wobble board. And again, all the time, give him the external focus of attention, of not tipping the balance board into the ground. Great. We can go down. And with all the variety that we have discussed earlier, so catching a ball, throwing a ball, we can also do this while standing, for example, on the wobble board. And of course, it depends on the goals of the client, the things that he wants to do after the training. So these were just some examples that you can do during the standing as a position. Now we will progress into walking, for example. So for the gait, we will start with the normal walking. If the performer or your client is able to walk normally, then you might add the progression to the normal walking with, as I said before, adding a physical or cognitive task. And we will try something else now. We will try to play with the base of support. Okay? So I will ask you to walk down this line heel to toe. Okay? So we are narrowing the base of support. And of course, we can, as I said before, we might ask him, for example, he's looking into the line. So you might ask him to look forward, we might ask him to turn the head into the right, to the left, upward, downward. We can play with this variety. Can you look to the right now and continue walking? To the left now and continue walking. Up and continue walking. Down and continue walking. Yes. Another form of the gait training exercises, we might use, for example, tones, and we will ask him to walk through the cones. So don't touch the cones, just walk through the cones. And to add something else, we will go back again, but this time we will do it in a faster manner, so as fast as you can. So you are trying now to change the speeds. Now we will do something else. We will, I will ask you to go as fast or as slow as possible, and then when you reach the end of the path, you will pick an object. So I'm adding a secondary task, physical task. You will reach that object, hold the object, and go back again on the line. Hit the jump. So as fast as possible, as slow as possible, pick the object, and then go back again. So actually, you can do many things. You have different options to use, and as I said, depending on the abilities of the performer and what you need from the training. We have another example here. We have a large figure of 8. So we used a line. Then figure of 8, it could be a circle, whatever you want. The goal here is to change direction. Because sometimes you need to change direction. So that's why we use now changing direction using the cones, and simply we will walk. You can make it bigger if you want. And the aim is here, as you can see, is he's able to change direction smoothly without losing balance. We can also use the Bozo, and the Bozo is a wobbly surface. So you are playing with the surface now. We can start with a normal standing, so you can go up. And if you see that the exercise is easy for the performer, then you can add more progression to that. So I might ask him, for example, to catch a ball. From different directions. Okay, and we can also ask him to perform squats. Yes, and another thing, we talked earlier about the external focus of attention, and when we use the oval board, for example, we asked him not to tip the board to the floor. Using the Bozo, we can use a stick, and you can ask him to keep the stick as horizontal as possible, parallel to the ground all the time. So he might apply this from standing, while he's applying squatting as well. This will give him a reference for the orientation of his body, of being balanced. Okay. So this was about using the Bozo. We can also we are back now to because we are mixing, as you can see, the standing positions and other exercises for the gait. As you can see here, we have another path, and we have used the cones, and it's like a zigzag shape. And again, you can use any shape you want, depending on the goals that you want to achieve. You might start with asking the performer to walk down the zigzag, as simple as that. So he is changing direction. You can play with the speed, and we can also play with adding other tasks. And now I will ask you again to go as fast as you can. So I'm asking him to change the speed. And then we will try something else. We will ask him to hold these cups, and we have filled them with water. And the order will be, please try not to try to keep the cups steady in your hands and don't sip the water, okay? You can walk now. So we are adding a secondary task, a secondary physical task, and this will give him an external focus of attention, okay? We can also play with the variety of this exercise by asking you now to perform a cognitive task, okay? So you need to go down that path again, but this time I need you to subtract 7 from 99, okay? Yeah, let's go.
92, 85, 65, 8, and 61.
Great, thank you. It's really good and interesting to watch the differences between accomplishing a task without anything, like just walking, and then adding other tasks, whether like holding the cups filled with water or adding a cognitive task, and comparing the time. Okay, so if I was using my stopwatch, it would be really good to see the differences. Usually, we suspect that people might be a bit slower when you add secondary time, and this is something that you can work on and make a progress with. We have another thing here, the obstacle course, and you can put anything that you want depending on the goals that you want to achieve with your clients. Here we have different kind of steps, and you can have stationary obstacles, moving obstacles. You can play with the heights, different widths, and also you can specify what type of movements you want the performer to achieve. So for the first one, I need you to step over it and then to jump over the other one. So for this one, and then you need to jump over, okay? And it's okay to demonstrate also to the performer what you want to achieve. And I will meet you at the end, because I want also to add a moving obstacle. So you also need to avoid this ball, okay? I will come from that way. Yes, you can start now. So the aim is to change direction and to mimic the normal activities that you usually face during your daily life.